When the lab test comes, you guys won't want to be over here, because this is how you're going to see it on the lab test. Give me a brain model, please. Thank you very much. You got it. All right. Well, this brain model is in the same position as this over here. So we're looking at the left side of the brain. This is a coronal section. We'll come back to that. But I'm going to ask you right now, I'm going to ask you all the questions you have to know. And you don't know half the answers yet because we just started this, right? Let's do the lobes. Lobes are the easiest part. So what lobe is up front?
Frontal lobe.
That was a tough one, okay? Frontal lobe, frontal lobe. So we're looking at the left sagittal section of the brain. What lobe is back here?
Occipital.
Occipital, all right? Occipital lobe. Occipital lobe of the brain. What's this section called? Cerebellum. Notice this white feathery appearance. This is called what? Anybody know? The white threads, the white lines. It's actually myelinated axons.
That's a longitudinal.
Name of it is arbor vitae. Who knows their Latin? Arbor?
Tree?
Tree. Vitae.
Okay.
Life. Tree of life. You see this,
like a tree.
this tree-like pattern here? These tree-like branches here? So this is the cerebellum, this is the cerebellum, and those are the arbor vitae inside of there. Now, this is the occipital lobe. This is the frontal lobe. What lobe do we have right here?
Parietal.
Parietal, exactly. And there's a couple of landmarks you have to know here. There is a fissure right about here. You can see it. A fissure is an indentation. There's a line right there. There's a line right here that separates the parietal lobe from the occipital lobe. You have to know the name of that line. Parietal lobe from occipital lobe. It's on your lab.
That the lateral sulcus.
Nope, but at least you're brave enough to say something.
The lateral
Nope.
occipital.
Parieto-occipital is the name of it.
And it separates.
Well, parietal lobe from
Occipital.
occipital lobe. Got it. Okay. There is another one right up here. There's another line right here. And you can see it right here.
Central sulcus.
Central sulcus. Somebody give me a definition. Central sulcus separates what two lobes? Frontal from parietal. Exactly. So we've got the parieto-occipital sulcus. We've got the central sulcus. We've got there's a line right here. There's a line right here that separates the cerebellum from the cerebrum, the occipital lobe of the cerebrum. Cerebellum, cerebrum. What's the name of that line?
Transverse fissure.
Transverse fissure. Very good. Transverse fissure. I'm going to ask you every single lobe on your lab test. I'm going to ask you every single fissure and sulcus. Going to the sagittal section. What's the name of the fissure that goes right down the middle? I'm sorry, the sulcus that goes right down the middle.
Central.
No, we did the central sulcus already. Lateral. No, I'm sorry, longitudinal. Longitudinal fissure goes right down the middle. Okay, now let's kind of move over from this model over here, try to move over to this over here, and see if we can transfer some of the information. What does this section of the brain have to be?
Cerebellum.
It's the cerebellum, yeah, the cerebellum. Then what is this line coming across to you? Transverse fissure, exactly, transverse fissure. So we picked that out. All right, back to our little brain here. We've got the occipital lobe, we've got the parietal lobe, we've got the frontal lobe, we have our fissures, we have our sulci, we know that this is the cerebellum. You see this big white C-shaped thing over here? Can you pick it out on there? This big white C-shaped type of thing. Corpus callosum. Corpus callosum. All right, what else can we kind of see? This little round bumpy thing up here looks like it might be who? Pons in the front. This sagittal section isn't showing us that kind of detail. We got some holes here. Know the name of these holes. Who are these holes? What are they?
Ventricles?
They're ventricles, yeah. They're ventricles. And you've got a couple of lateral ventricles. Lateral ventricles. Here's a lateral ventricle. This hole is a lateral ventricle. This is a lateral ventricle. These holes are the lateral ventricles cut in coronal section. This is all lateral ventricles. They're all lateral. Notice, these two holes look higher in the brain, and these two holes look lower in the brain. Well, what does that lateral ventricle do? It goes like this, right? So if you make a section up here, the holes are going to be higher. Say yes.
Yes.
Yes. If you make a section back here, the holes are going to be lower. So they're both the same thing, except that they curve up like this. So these are higher, these are a little bit lower. Now you look inside here, you can see some brownish tissue. Some brownish tissue. These are blood vessels. What does your book call them? They produce cerebrospinal fluid. Where it's produced there? Choroid plexus. It's called the choroid plexus. And so those are blood vessels that help in the production of cerebrospinal fluid. Now I want you to look at this corpus callosum again. Nice big C shape. You cut this coronally, what are you going to see? How will it appear over here?
Those two.
Right there. That's how it looks like in sagittal section. You got, now this again is lower, the back portion of the brain. You see how it's thicker? If I cut it there, it's thicker. It's thicker over here. If I cut it up here, it's a little bit thinner. It's going to be thinner up there. These are axons. The corpus callosum is a bundle of axons. If you look at this up close, look at that up close, Annie. Can you see like a bunch of white threads? Say yes.
Yeah.
Good answer. She can see it, all right? They're bundles of axons that are connecting left and right cerebral hemispheres. They're bundles of axons connecting the left and the right side of the brain. The left and the right side of the brain are very much connected. Can you see what we call gray matter? What we call white matter?
Yes.
Who remembers? A gray matter is predominantly what?
Cell bodies.
Cell bodies and dendrites. And white matter is primarily what?
Axons.
Myelinated axons. And so now, white and gray, it seems to be obvious. But that's everything. That's everything that I'm going to ask you. Basically, lobes and fissures and sulci, corpus callosum on there, cerebellum, the arborvitae on there. So know the name of all your lobes, know the name of all the fissures and sulci and everything, because they're going to be asked. Now, if you're really good, and I mean if you're really good, you'll know the name of those two lines. All right, think. Where are they on your head?
Temporal.
Lateral sulcus.
You got it. Lateral sulci. You got it. Bingo! All right. Little brown dot.
Pituitary gland.
Nope, at least you're brave enough to say something.
Hypothalamus.
Intermediate mass of the thalamus. Right. Little hole right here.
Fourth ventricle.
Fourth ventricle. Name of this tube.
Oh, it's
What do you want? We just started today. I don't know all the names yet, right? Okay. Cerebral aqueduct. Gland right here. Pituitary. You got a lot of work to do, guys. Do it, do it, do it. In 10 minutes, we got to be out of here. We will be back here next time. This model will be in the library. Anytime you want to see these, come up and see me, and I'll get you into lab.